everybody, it's Cinnamon Cooney, your art Sherpa, and today I'm so excited to be bringing you this gorgeous cloudscape painting. I did this in morning dawn colors to give you that sunrise feel, and it's a lot of fun, really easy to do. Get your paint, get your brushes, come back and meet me at the easel right now. I want to show you how. Let's look at the materials we're going to use for today's really fun cloud project. I've got a 9x12 canvas board. It's ready to go. I don't need to do another thing to it. Over here I have the colors phthalo green, phthalo blue, Indian yellow. I have some golden glazing liquid. This helps slow down the drying time of paint and lets me glaze. I have titanium white, and I have what I like to call a safety color, which is my burnt sienna, just in case I need to use this to darken my paint. I have a couple nice 2-inch wide stiff white nylon brushes for painting. This is going to be for my background. I'm treating myself to blending with my 2-inch cutter. I have 3 assorted brushes for clouds right here. So you can see these nice assorted brushes for clouds. And I have a palette knife to mix my paint together. So the first part of this really fun atmosphere project, and I really feel like this is going to be something that you can put into other paintings once you get the skill today, is about making the background and having it be really blended. So let me show you my trick for that. And hopefully it's going to kind of explode your brain and stuff that you can do at home to get really good at this kind of thing. So I'm going to take this 2-inch brush and I'm going to get it a little wet. I don't really want it sopping wet, which is great about these because they won't pull in too much water. I'm dragging off the extra water. And I'm going to come in and just get just a smidge, right, dusted on the edge of my bristles here. And then I'm going to come get some white because I want the lowest part of my sky to be quite light. I will add some of my glazing liquid a lot because my studio gets quite hot and I'm going to need that. And I'm going to come to the bottom of my canvas and I'm going to blend my lightest color of this fabulous dramatic sky here at the bottom. I'm going to take this sort of yellow to, if you think this is the halfway point, to about 1 inch below the halfway point. I'm going to get a lot more yellow on my brush and a little white. So I want this color to be darker. The glaze to help me blend and have this not just dry out on me so fast in my hot conditions. You know, sometimes when we're in hot, dry conditions, it really affects how our paint can perform. And so those are just things to take into account when you're working a project. So I have a nice sky. If you don't feel like it's light enough down there, you can always come get more white and lighten this up because this has got to be like sort of a sunrise feeling, right? Where you get an ombre. So once you have that, rinse out your brush. I'm going to put it to the side and I'm going to create my phthalo turquoise, hopefully quickly enough because I want to kind of get into here before this completely dries. So I'm going to basically take my phthalo blue and my phthalo green and mix them together, right? And that's going to make phthalo turquoise. If you have the Australian color Southern Ocean blue, that will work here as well. You know, so, or if you have phthalo turquoise in the tube, that will work here as well. Once you get that nice kind of mixed together to the sort of ocean color you like, I like to wipe off my palette knife and I'm going to come fairly quickly to do the top part, which I'm going to go just right in to the phthalo turquoise with just a smidge of white. I don't want too much because I want the top of my painting to be dark. And I'm going to come here and just right across the top. I'm getting my framing board a little bit, but I don't need to worry about that because I'll just paint that black. I'm going to come down about 1.5 brushes of these, right? I'm going to keep coming down and you can kind of add a smidge of the yellow as you're coming down your sky because you're trying to create an ombre between these two colors. And then when you get right here, I like to get some just yellow, some of the blue, and blend them a little bit. Now, if all the paint is still wet, you can do a really cool thing. I'm going to rinse that out. I can take a very large, soft, dry brush, and I can come in and very gently go over the area and create a very delicate blend between those two spaces. Just back and forth. All right, and then I can come up and even blend this all the way up. See how that's going? Now, there's a lot of pigment on here, and I'm going to need to take this aside and wash it and dry it out. If I want to do this lower part the same way, I'm going to need to get another soft dry brush and do that part as well. Once you have this background exactly how you like it, and don't worry if it takes you a couple tries to do it, you can start to do the scumbling dry brush clouding in. But my tip here is make sure the background is bone dry. Sometimes when we're using glazing or blending mediums or paint is almost dry, it's sticky. And that's going to fight the brush stroke and the scumbling method that we're going to be using here. So letting things dry between the layers is going to be super critical. I'm going to come over here and I'm going to get my number 8 round. This is my number 8 cloud right here. And I'm going to load up some of my pure phthalo green. Now, my safety color here, which is my burnt sienna, I'm going to add a little bit of it to the top because I want this to just be a little grayed and as dark as it can be. I am swirling this around and I'm rolling this off. And I'm going to come here to the top because I'm layering clouds as we go. Now, when I'm making my little circular motions to determine my little cloud tops, you're going to want to go down and up and back. You want these guys to have so much personality and be so affected by the weather around them. It's very important. You can see I'm making little circular motions, right? Pushing the paint out to the edge. And then I'm gonna have the bottom of my cloud be about here. You can even give yourself a little back and forth mark to know where you're going as you're going. And you're just gonna push, maybe like push this guy up high and it comes back here so he's just a weird little puffle. And think of things as being puffles and huffles and airy bits. If you're real frustrated, you can always come in there with a finger. Especially with these colors, you don't have to worry about that at all. To get a nice soft blend, you can come in with a finger if you want. So I'm going to get a little more my brown there to make sure that this is nice and deep. And I'm going to come over and make another little bank of up high clouds. Now, within these banks of clouds, they're going to be mini forward-facing banks. So I just want to make sure that I'm giving a good bank. Look at that, I came out here to the right and then I went left and I'm going to come up a little bit and I'm going to go down. And I'm going to come right there. See, I'm making a bank, pulling more paint in. You can come here too and level off your cloud and fill this in. You see I'm making just circular motions. This scumble, and the scumble, the foot of it is pressed in. I'm not coming at it straight down. I could, but I get my best traction almost pushing this in like a deer foot stippler, even though it's not. It does a lot of that for me. And it's very, very stiff. So having the light pressure there, that's going to be your friend. So I'm going to come make another little bank here. Right? Another little bank coming down. And this guy, come here. And maybe push up and can layer over the bank above it. That's why I sometimes like to do these little banks in these layers so that they are layered really nicely. Let's come down here. This has got some nice cumulus little circles. I'm going circle, 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 back, 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 circle, 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 around. Notice how it's up, 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 and then it's all these different little crazy shapes. This is what's hard for people with clouds, is the crazy shapes. Come along here. You can fill this in. You know, have this be maybe a pretty hefty little body of cloud here. Right? This is almost an abstract and it's almost an atmosphere. It's really kind of a fun thing to do. It's a gorgeous painting on its own, and it's fun to learn how to get your clouds in. Now this bank I'm going to have come across here. So let me finish off. See, I'm going to go circle, 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 taper, 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 taper. Oh, it's just a gentle little wisp. Some of that's going to be covered by this bank, which is going to come down a little bit from this first one. And you can just see these little circular motions that I'm doing. And how this just happily puts the paint down like that. I love that. Load, 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 load. Load, load, load. You can get this circular motion on the corner of a Bristles Bright if you want. It's just important to know what you're trying to get. I'm going to bring this down to a little taper. I like to taper those down. Taper down. Maybe push a little surprise there up when you think it's all tapered out. And then over there. And then let's come back here and maybe tapers over here too. This little guy can be shaped like this. This is where he's going to be. And he an interesting little friend, little guy. I like him. So you're just looking for the shapes. You know, I like just to make sure this feels fairly level. If you need to darken anything, you can just come back with that second color. Now I'm going to add just a smidge of yellow to my mix now that I'm in this mid-range, but I still want this to be dark, right? So I'm going to come here and make some nice banks of crazy interesting clouds. Let's push this green. See how this is like a deep green? So this is sort of a fantasy cloudscape because, you know, green clouds, but you just never know in nature, right? She throws you some curves. See the little circular motion? Fun stuff, just going. Get your yellow deep, your Indian yellow, and maybe it's Australian sienna. They're all good exchanges for that color. Just looking for that deep yellow. Push this guy up. Maybe it goes up a little bit and has a little puff that way. You know? It's just really about making sure that you're just telling unusual and unexpected stories in the sky. And if it feels predictable, if you feel like you've repeated yourself in some way, make a change. Do something unexpected to change it up. See how I did that there? Added a little bit of rise to that. Now I've got this whole interesting little cloud bank right here. You know, just a nice little cloud bank right here. One thing that you can do too while you're coming through here is you can add some little distant wispy little shadows. Look at that. Back and forth. It's coming back and forth. Just little distant, far away shadows that are up in the sky doing little cloudy things. You just don't know. You don't know. You don't know. Have fun with it. Back and forth at the bottom of this. It's an interesting, weird little group. All right. Sometimes clouds are in the distance and very light and hard to see. All right. And they blend into what's around them. Look at this one blend. We're blending this one in. And that's going to be like I'm going to get some glaze maybe. Blend that in. Kind of a distant, more airy cloud. And then maybe there's a little friend right here that's darker. It's in front. Crazy what we can do, right? And push this up here. Push that back there. Give this a little bit of streaky back and forth. See, we're just layering and scumbling. Isn't that amazing what that does? Now it's a good time to rinse this out. And unlike, so if you're using a bristle brush, it's during the rinse that you lose a lot of the stiffness that lets you scumble. And so you often have to keep a bunch of those around. This is a synthetic filament, so I'm not going to have to do that. It's going to be just as stiff through the entire project. All right, next layer. So I'm definitely going to get some of my yellow, and I'm going to add a smidge of my brown. Not a lot. Just, this is its deeper color, right? Just a little bit to this grouping. And they can have even, it can have just a smidge, there you go, of that green to it. Look at that. That's believable that that would be here living at this level. And that's what we're telling us, little stories of these different little clouds and the levels that they live at. Just coming off the side here. Push, 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 push. Push, 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 and back and forth. That next level. Super fun. Look at that. So we're getting in all our cloud shadows as we go. And this is sort of fun because when we come back and put on these highlights, it's just a super delight to do. Let's put a little surprising guy right here. Maybe he pushes up in front of his little friend. We're circling around, pushing back. We're trying to even be unpredictable almost to ourselves. There you go, I like that. Taper it off. Practicing these not only makes for beautiful paintings that you could enjoy quite a lot. I'm going to grab some just yellow now. All right, I'm going to make a big cumulus nimbus grouping right here. Okay, just a nice big nimbus grouping in just the yellow. Push this up. Get a little more of my yellow. Just be surprising. Right here in the center, big, big cumulus nimbus. Surprise yourself with the cloud shapes that come to you. Surprise yourself with what you come up with. Oh, the circle, circle, circle. You're trying to tell a story you didn't know you were going to tell. So this is nature. Nature is very surprising. Just pushing this around. What you're going to notice on a real stiff brush is sometimes it will do subtractive work. It will pull paint up from underneath and keep moving it out until it's cured. And that's actually kind of a good and interesting thing. And I'm going to do some of these little stratus back and forth. Little bits here. Now as I'm coming down here, I might add maybe a little bank of this yellow. But this last little bank that I'm going to have, I think I'm going to want to definitely lighten it up. So I'm going to get some white into my yellow. And you may even need some glaze. And just across the bottom, go ahead and circle, 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 circle. Your cloud bank. Come up where you need to. Surprise yourself wherever you need to. You need to come in with your finger, come in with your finger. Whatever you need to do. This one, I might even rinse out again just to get some just yellow. This one is going to be your lightest bank. And so therefore, in some sense, your most challenging bank. I'm using the glaze, just trying to make sure that what I have here is Super light. See how very light and almost dusted and ephemeral that is? We definitely want to keep this bank in that space. Just barely here. Just barely here. Alright. Now my 2 cents is, before the next dusting detail where you bring all the shape and light to clouds, because clouds are all about shadows and highlights, is it's a good idea to dry this canvas thoroughly. So once your canvas is completely dry, we can start putting in all those fabulous colors and reflections and little details that give our clouds form. I'm going to start out with the smallest of my clouds, which is a number 4. I'm just looking for a small brush head, and I'm going to get my yellow and my white, and I want a fairly light color. In skies, you probably are mixing darker than you need, and that's actually likely your biggest challenge. So sometimes it's a good idea to go lighter than you think, because it'll look one color in the palette and then so different on the canvas. So I'm circling, circling, circling. I'm creating these inner forms, letting the shadows define things on the outside. I'm going to bring some of this side form down, and I'm just pressing the side of the brush in, and I'm just circling, adding that little bit here maybe. Let's pick a little group of cloud there. We're gonna pull out and define. All right? That's fun stuff, isn't it? They just come out of the blue. And suddenly the shape within the shape starts to happen, and you're like, wow, I had no idea this cloud was even here like this. Just didn't see it. And you can get some yellow if you need to go back and push in any definition. See? There's no end. I just wiped off to how you can come in. Another little thing that you can do is just a little tap stroke, where you're dropping a little paint almost in an impasto sense. There we go. Let's do this other side. Come here and just push this little circle, circle, circle. See the shadow just created behind there is just making something happen. And you're just finding the highlights that tell the story here. And it can be light, like it is here. Just pushing this around. So you can push parts back and push other parts forward. That's a little bright for that area, but it's easy, easy peasy to come back with a little yellow on here and knock that back. Right? A little light here. Maybe here this is just sort of hidden and distant. Look at this light one that we're just pushing in. It's just so airy. And that's what you're doing. You're just having some fun. You can also just create light wispies. So easy. So easy. Just no work at all. None at all. I'm getting a little yellow and a little white. Let's just come up here at this top part and circle, 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 and pull that back and make a little bit there that we like, and just go. But maybe there's a little bit here that's pushing forward that we're like pretty impressed by, and it can be blending down and softly integrated. And that's what we're doing. We're just looking for those little stories. Just pushing it back and forth, finding those highlights. So everywhere I create a highlight, I'm creating a bank or a shape to the cloud, right? Or I need something stronger and more thought out, I can come in with this little dabbing because it's pretty precision. So it's, even though it's very dry, it's still a very precision thing. Let's come right here, just circling. And just making little wispy backs and forth. And hopefully you're starting to see banks of clouds. You know, coming back down, maybe this one needs a little more definition. And you're starting to see the banks of clouds form. You know, maybe it's got a little highlight right there, and let's just push that right there. You can sit there and always come back with your yellow. It's just no problem to change that. And look at that. A little yellow, a little white. Still leaving the dark shadow in there. You can see I just roll it around. The pigment really hangs with it. So you're not going to be working at it. You can just circle, 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 and press. If you need to put something back in, just come in and just do this little stroke motion where you just curl this little stroke in, and look at that. Give it some character. Look how much character you suddenly can just easily deliver. I've got my highlights, I've got my shadows. I can just play all day. So as we're moving up, I like the reflections to kind of take on the tone of the sky around them. So I'll keep moving those colors in. So like I might be moving up and I'm going to get a little of this green on my brush, but still quite a lot of yellow. See what I'm doing here? Roll out the extra paint or pull it out. And then that's just what I'm going to mix into my white here. So for this, as we're coming up, there's this slight cast. And I think that slight cast is important. That also helps define, I think, the layers of sky that we're looking at. I'm just light, light, light. See, my pigment isn't heavy on my brush, and I'm just circling around. Look at that. Let's get that again. That was really fun. Get some more of that green and white highlight. Come here and just sit there and say, oh yeah, there's some highlights happening, and maybe I can tell that story. A little soft. You'd be like, whoo, soft, 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 soft. Look at that. Just a soft, gentle story. This one could be far away, and you know, as I'm coming, I'm going to get right into that phthalo green. I'm going to make it really defined green. And I think it's kind of interesting at this point to get into the yellow as much as, say, the white up here, creating highlights with that. So you've got a little of the green, and then you're coming in and saying that there's some stuff happening with this yellow. We're going to come back with the white, but I'm just saying that's a really nice depth thing to do. You just, at the top of this bump here, I'm just pressing some highlight. Maybe I'm saying, oh no, you've got a little bit of here, and you can, I love going back and forth on the bottom. It's one of my favorite things. You know, I've got the green on here, and I'm just pressing out the yellow, and I'm right now kind of mostly lighting the same sides of my clouds. I'm just implying that the light source is sort of hitting them the same. I'm going to get a little of my white now. I'm going to come in, just hit some. And look what that does. Don't they just pop out of nowhere? And I'm rolling my brush in my fingers, which kind of lets me have a little bit of new pigment every once in a while. And then this is revealing this like lighter green, and it's just happening, isn't it? And that's what clouds do. They just happen. You work at them, but they're also just becoming. And I think that's what is so attractive about them as a painting subject, is they're often the lightest object in your sky. They're often the most interesting event in your painting. Look at that. Just bank. Become a bank. We're just becoming a cloud bank. Let's make a little bank become right here. Oh, I'm going to be a little cloud right here. Happy and fluffy and floating away. Maybe a little bit of this nice color I like to scumble between those little puffs. Tell that story. Now, I'm going to get a bunch of glaze on my brush when I come back and do this sort of. Remember we did this light guy that was sort of distant? I just want to make sure that this, as long as this color is very mellow and faded, it won't ever feel like it's really up close. It will feel distant, and we want that to feel pushed away. So what you do light will feel far away. I'm going to rinse my little brush out. We're almost done. We're almost done telling this crazy, beautiful dawn sky story with just a little bit of dry brushing and a little bit of just relaxing and chilling. Alright, so I've got my phthalo green. I'm loading it on the tip of this brush. I'm going to grab some white. Now I'm using heavy-bodied paint, and so, you know, I like to have some muscle for that. You know, you might be using soft body, you might be using something softer, but the principles of the highlights and how they happen still apply. I'm just coming right here and I'm going to just maybe tell the, look at that little beautiful up high aqua story. Oh, let's drift down the corridor. Look at that. Sometimes I find making noises helps. May not help you. Totally helps me. Just keep telling the story. Let's give the front of this something going on. Now these are distant up high clouds, you know, so we're not going to maybe light them as much. They have some lighting, but we don't need to do that as much. We're just doing a little bit. Just, you know, and just check that you're happy with what you're getting. That's what you're looking for here. Are you happy? I'm going to also bring some of this into this little dark area with the green, and then like that. So you just almost done. So exciting. All right, I'm getting, so this is the phthalo green, right? And I'm just get it right here, and a little bit of my white. And let's come right there and just light a little puff it. And then I've got a little friend. Oh, this definitely is a little interesting back and forth, right? Just these little circular motions. See how nice it is? And you just listen to the noise. Noise is really relaxing. So many ways to paint a sky. So many ways to paint these atmospheric marvels. We must like them a lot. To have thought of so many ways. Talk about them. Look at that. And let's get this last little distant group up in the atmosphere. Do, 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 do. Alright, so we're going to go real light right here. Just soft and light. This is far away. We know it's here. We see it a little bit, but I'm at the top again here, so I'm just circling around. Circling around again at the top. Oh! You'll notice that I'm finding the left side of things, or creating that side as I'm going. I'm going to pull this highlight into focus right there. Look at that. Pull it into focus. Just pulling into focus. What a bee is saying. It's okay to pull things into focus and Determine how you feel. There we go. You can always come and add a little distant something. Just a hazy little guess. Hazy little gust. Oh my goodness! Now take a minute and look and see if there's just anything you feel like you're missing, anything you want to define more, anything you want to express more. I'm really happy with what I have. I'm going to put my signature on it. Let's do that real quick. I'm going to get my signature brush, which is a #1 little monogram liner here. That's going to give me a nice line. I'm going to get a light color. You can notice I'm going to go right into my water and just sort of swirl this around. What I'm doing is I'm thinning it out so it will flow off my brush well. So to get a nice line, I need to have a good stiff brush with a fine point and a fluid paint. And so this is how I'm making my paint fluid enough. I'm going to come here at the corner and give myself a nice signature. I like to think about where I'm putting my signature and how it sits in the painting. I want it to be there, but I don't want it to be what the painting is about. Whew. I feel like we were light as clouds and up in the atmosphere and had a really good time. I hope this gave you a different perspective on atmospheric perspective. And maybe some of you are like, oh, I get it now. A complete aha moment. Be good to yourselves, be good to each other, and I'm going to see you at the easel really, really soon.